welcome to another AB Talks. I'm delighted to be joined by Mikko and Jarek from Revenue Capital. Thank you both for joining me today for Unite Dubai. So to start with, Revenue Capital, maybe you could tell me a little bit about the company. What makes you guys different? Why are you unique?
Right, so let me start with a bold statement. So we are bringing innovation to venture capital sector. And the way how we do that, okay, so first of all, unlike traditional VCs, we don't take equity. So we kind of derive the value for our investors from revenues generated by the portfolio companies. But on top of that, we kind of tokenize the entire structure. So that's a tokenized financial product, which is deriving its value from those revenues taken from the portfolio companies. And it provides like a super liquidity to our LPs, to our investors. So long story short, it's like a tokenized, unique, one of a time, revenue-based funding model.
Why do you think the startup ecosystem here in Dubai needs a platform like yours?
Well, I would say that it's not just Dubai. I mean, it's a global thing where venture capital has been around obviously for a long time, but it does need innovation. There's a lack of alternatives for startups everywhere. So they're having to deal with down rounds. They're having to deal with giving up too much equity early on. They're having to deal with bridge rounds, which dilute both the founders' equity too much as well as for the early investors. So sometimes kind of a venture loan type of an alternative is something that they would be looking for, not to dilute their ownership. But also then on the other hand, I mean, there's a growing kind of a demand for more people to get involved in venture capital industry. But typically that has been limited for large institutions and LPs that can access that. With this model, that also allows for other people to participate in that.
And other than this technology, what kind of other opportunities are you guys bringing to the ecosystem as well?
So, I mean, it used to be called smart cash, like back in the days, but basically it's just not funding, obviously. So I would say we're pretty good in tokenizing assets. So whenever there's a company which is already tokenized, but basically considers a smart model, a smart business model to be introduced or to be invented, like which is going to power those assets created, then we are definitely the ones to play. But something what is, I think, making us quite significant is actually the community standing behind us. So, and again, unlike classic investors, we have approximately a community of approximately 35,000 followers. Within them, we have approximately 8,000 investors, so 8,000 wallets standing behind this community, which means that there's definitely a potential and an opportunity to activate this community while being brought in to our portfolio, to our ecosystem. So there are obviously, different ways of this activation, starting from just, regular crowdsourced marketing to basically pilot testing, to running through recommendations, contests. I mean, the sky's the limit, probably. But this community aspect is something what we strongly pitch to new potential portfolio companies.
I would also add, like maybe for the local ecosystem, because we are mostly based out of Europe. So I mean, Jarek is from Poland. I'm originally from Finland, and a lot of the core team is from Europe. So for the local ecosystem, it would be an access to the European market with a European investor that has access to the further partners, whether it's industrial partners or investors and so forth. So,
okay, thank you for that. Can you tell me a little bit about the companies that you're specifically looking to attract? Where are the opportunities for you? Who do you have in your crosshairs?
Okay, let me start from the stage of the development. So obviously, we are after revenues, which means,
you want the money.
We want the money, yeah. I mean, first things first, right? So unfortunately, it excludes the companies being at the very early stage of development. So ideally, you should have already you should have a product, you should have a positive business and the financial traction, behind you, so that we can easily assess, how much the capital injection we provide is going to, boost your operations, boost your, revenue generation, let's say. And then, okay, sector-wise, I mean, we're kind of, a natural-born hunters for, anything fintech related. So we kind of bring in, fairly good expertise when it comes to, this particular sector. So fintech, okay, anything payment related, anything optimizing, transactioning, both on the blockchain side, so crypto, but also like in the traditional financial sector as well. But then obviously, going beyond. I mean, we've been talking to companies from health tech to agri-tech, green tech, iGaming at the end. So we are, I would say, quite sector agnostic. Then I would say, anything what works for the community, anything what works for the ecosystem of those portfolio companies is something what we definitely would like to, take into account. Like the last thing, we take quite much care when it comes to selecting those companies to make sure that they don't only bring those magic revenues, right? I mean, they should also bring value, community, yes, already mentioned, but also to the other peer companies belonging, to the ecosystem. So that's the kind of the structure we try to build, so that that clear synergies like in between and a lot of win-wins, obviously.
So, I mean, you've brought up one word earlier that I'm going to highlight here as well, but broadly, these trends of Web3, Metaverse, tokenization, cryptocurrencies have been in the conversation for a few years now. But I think it's fair to say we haven't seen a realization of these products in the ecosystem. Is now the time? Are we going to see these products finally emerge from the shadows and become part of the general startup ecosystem, for instance?
For sure. No doubt about it. I mean, we're starting to see some companies that are already making their way and are starting to generate significant revenues in that space. It's there's a lot of similarities to when there was like the .com boom. There were early on there were kind of obvious winners that everyone thought, okay, they were going to dominate the market. Like Yahoo was the play, AOL was the play. Amazon was dumb. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. They just raised so much money, but couldn't really make any kind of a profit. So Jeff Bezos didn't know what he was doing. Google had a wrong business model because they removed all the ads from their front page. Didn't make any sense. So at least those two guys are not going to survive. Now, coming to today, I mean, they are the winners, and a lot of the people and companies we thought were the winners didn't work out. But there was such a big movement, like right now with crypto, with Web 3.0 and all of these plays, that, yeah, we're going to have winners. And then we're starting to see early signs of that. So you have to look at number of VCs portfolios and which ones they are backing and look at the traction they're starting to get. I mean, you dig a bit deeper and you will start seeing that, okay, that there are companies making serious money already. They are not just like household names yet. That will happen in the next year or so, that you start to seeing people, well, already, I know that company. Yeah, I mean, they're cool. Well, they already have 500 people. So you're going to start seeing them very soon.
Okay, so final question from me then. We're here at Unite Dubai. What are your thoughts on the conference? What are you trying to achieve here? And what are your thoughts on the startup ecosystem in Dubai as well? What role do you see yourself playing here?
Right. So there are three layers behind that. The first one we already disclosed. So we're definitely here after startups, after good projects, the ones we can connect with and kind of sell the idea of bringing them to our ecosystem. The second layer, which is maybe not that obvious, I mean, we are also after partnerships, after looking for VC funds for companies investing in startups, building portfolios like us. I mean, no one is playing this game alone these days. Definitely, we don't intend to play it alone as well. So this means that, again, I mean, we can build those partnerships around co-investments. We can build these partnerships around us being seen as a tool, as a certain utility provider for the traditional investors, which is kind of like related to the third layer I wanted to talk about, which is the community, which is like the ecosystem, over here, and it just keeps attracting, good people, good projects, good ideas. Like kind of like a snowball effect. I mean, bringing snow here probably is not a good idea, but again, it's starts with building a good climate. Money is already here, which obviously helps. And then if we can tap into the ecosystem, which keeps bringing like new blood basically, and it keeps attracting on both sides of the story. We definitely want to be here. So that's my take on it.
Okay, great. Well, on that note, Jarek, Mikko, I'll thank you both for your time, and I hope you enjoy Unite Dubai later this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.